You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone.
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
If you don't love me at my Shadow and Bone, you don't deserve me at my Loki. Welcome back for another shift on the Geeks Watch. This week, we missed a week last week, everyone. We're going to finish up Shadow and Bone and then get right into Loki, episode 1. I'm Mitch, and the Time Variance Authority is a fun place, it seems like. So, John, what are you thinking of the whole thing?
Just like in general, out of all of the Disney Plus originals so far, I can say this one is love at first sight.
Jessica?
Wow. It's great.
And Elizabeth?
I have questions.
You have questions.
Oh, there's so many questions.
I mean, I have questions about both shows. So, as I stated earlier, we are not going to have a week's watch because we are going to do 2 shows. We're going to do both Shadow and Bone from Netflix and Loki Disney Plus. And Steven is not joining us this week, but he wanted us to say that one of these shows he enjoyed. So if we're all ready, let's go ahead and get right into Shadow and Bone. We had the last 3 episodes to talk about. What was everybody's overall feeling about the show?
They almost had me.
They almost had you.
Almost.
Jessica, you read the book, or at least tried to read the book.
I tried to read the book.
Did you have the same feeling coming out of the TV show?
Yeah, pretty much. It all went how I figured it was going to go, I guess. It's like very much just, yep, that's young adult fantasy. That's the ending of the first book. It's just, yeah. Can't wait till the second book when the main characters argue so much and they get separated and then they get back together in the beginning of the third book. That's I have no idea if that's how it goes in the books, but
I'm sure
that's usually how a young
exactly
adult trilogy goes.
Elizabeth?
It was exactly what I expected it to be, and I'm not disappointed in that fact.
Yeah.
It's definitely I feel about it the way I felt about Carnival Row. Definitely the last 3 episodes were much better because we watched them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So the little stuff and the, small plot holes and character irritations could kind of be glossed over.
Yeah.
John, what is the ultimate fate of the train conductor in your eyes?
I mean, it looked like he got fed into the shadow somehow, or somehow consumed by it.
Do you think he... do you think he was killed by a shadow thing, or was he converted into one?
Mm-hmm.
I would think he was killed by it, because if he was converted by it, then where is he going to go? Like, the shadow was not close by.
Fair.
Or the fold, so I'm assuming he was just basically, consumed by it.
Although the twist at the end is that the things can leave the fold without any issue.
As long as, there's shadow nearby, I guess.
from what I understood,
darkness?
Kerrigan got the army that he wanted, was what I was getting from that.
Ah, okay. All the stuff that was thrown in there at in the last episode, or what was Kerrigan's ultimate plan in your eyes?
He wants to just
World
take over.
domination.
Yeah, just the same plan of any evil guy. I want to own it all.
And to do so, he needed both the sun summoning power and his darkness summoning power?
Yeah, he needed to show he could be a savior and then also a destroyer.
Okay. This show. There was nothing other than the crows that I was interested in. Like, I wasn't even interested in the Stockholm Syndrome couple. Like,
See, that's the one where it almost got me.
yeah, neither one of them interest me. They were both boring.
No, I just liked how snarky she was, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge Loathing to Love fan, so that one was going to get my attention a lot more than Mal and the Sun
Alina.
Summoner. And Alina. There we
Plus-
go. The Sunlight.
She was so just naughtily flirtatious. I'm like, yes, I like this character. She's cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Bagra. What happened with her? Was it Bagra? Bagram?
I think he locked her in her little basement dungeon.
Like, just shut up, Mom. Stay here.
He definitely didn't kill her. Although I do find it funny because he had that whole speech in that last episode with Mal about how he can just wait Mal out and like she'll come to love him, and then not 3 minutes later she rejects him and he like loses his mind. I'm like, yeah, all that patience. You've got so much
much of it.
patience.
What did we think about episode 7 of them trying to give him a sympathetic villain background?
It's such a the love of his life was killed. This guy's Magneto.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I saw this on X-Men Apocalypse already.
Yes, that's what I thought. It was that stupid, horrible X-Men movie. But I don't know. It's just it's lazy writing. You're right that the crows are the best part, which I think from what I was getting at, the crows come from another book. They have their own book that they're the leads of. It's called
really?
Six of Crows. It's a duology right now. It's called Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and there's 6 of them. And I know a Heartrender is one of them, so I don't know.
If it's the Heartrender that's
Yeah,
from the ship?
and because I don't remember them at all when I read the book. Granted, I read it a long time ago, and I only got a quarter of the way through. But I'm wondering if maybe I should look it up if they blended her 2 series because they take place in the same universe. Yeah.
Would make sense.
Makes me wonder if the Crows book was more popular and that's what Netflix really wanted, but they're like, we can't do that without doing Shadow of Bone first.
I can't tell you. All of her books sell really well,
Oh,
from what I understand.
That's fair.
Although I think Shadow and the Bone is the least favorite because of Alina, which she corrected, supposedly, according to the readers.
yeah. According to what I saw, people were like, Alina's a lot better in the show than she is in the books.
Oh, that's depressing.
It comes across better
Oh, okay.
when you can hear it and see it than just hearing her thoughts. Like, it's the same character, but it's different when you read that perspective in their point of view than seeing it, especially with young adult. Just teens are so angsty.
I think for me it's the lack of logic. I get that people aren't always very logical, but almost everybody's got some logic, and that seems to go completely out the window. Like, you see it with Alina and Mal. Both of them are like, you never wrote to me. Really? That's what you jump to after being friends and relying on each other for all of your lives?
Yeah.
You're going to immediately jump to the fact that you don't care about each other. That's what you're going with?
Yeah, that's what they're going with. And the fact that it still took them, I don't know, a good time to be like, oh, they just didn't give us the letters. Because I was surrounded by
even when she
evil
already,
people.
I was gonna say, even though she already knows that he's evil, she expected the letters to have gotten him out. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. Just
Hey, the post is something you don't mess with.
That's right. It's a federal offense to mess with other people's mail.
And, like, I mean, like just the utter lack of suspicion on their part for anybody else but each other. And I feel like, I mean, again, I never grew up in an orphanage, but my perception is that would be inverted. You would believe the person who's been there through thick and thin, than the random system.
Yeah, I think that's where you go, oh, I love him when we're separated. And then it makes it harder and you're no longer like that. I can trust him because now I love him. So I'm assuming that's what that comes from.
You know what these last 3 episodes reminded me of? And this is in honor of Steven, who couldn't join us today.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like a dungeon master that was just trying his hardest to keep the characters on plot. Because the way that everybody just comes together, especially in the last episode, like at the most opportune moments, just seems so haphazard and staged that it was like, wow. Everything just kind of like, I don't know. It was like you threw a bunch of cards in the air and they happened to land in the correct order just miraculously. I was like, oh, so everyone's where they're supposed to be right now. That's great. But what I won't take away from the show is the fact that they did one thing right, and they redeemed the little goat.
Was that the same goat? Is that Milo?
Yes. He had the bullet on the necklace.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jesper saved Mal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
But my
very
problem
lucky
is
that goat had a bullet.
Why else would a goat have a bullet? I don't think that was a thing that would happen. That was like specifically Jesker's little memento.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. It didn't trigger a memory in me when I was like, why is there a bullet in that goat's neck?
I also very much appreciate that other than Jesper, nobody else could remember the goat's name.
It's Milo. Milo.
Who's Milo? Who?
Speaking of Jesper,
Yes.
His character has one of the things that I hate that happens also in comic books a lot. He's a character that is introduced to us as using guns. Mm-hmm. Guns are meant for killing. Comic book characters that use guns and bows and arrows, like it's always like, oh, I shot him in the leg just to, disable them or whatever.
Yeah.
He's constantly shooting this dude in the tunic or whatever it is when he knows that it's not going to kill the guy, but he refuses to shoot him in the face where he's unprotected.
There was a really quick line when he does it the second time to the same guy where he's like, I gotta start being able to shoot the pretty ones in the face. Because he doesn't want to ruin that pretty face. Although, like, taking shots to the heart, bulletproof or not, really damaging to you.
Yeah, if it had worked in, after so many shots onto a bulletproof vest, it's not effective anymore.
Nope.
So that's what I was hoping, was that eventually shooting the dude in the same spot over and over was going to like penetrate or something, but nope. Just keep shooting that guy in the chest.
This highlights an even bigger problem with his character, because I like Jesper, but he's so good. Why isn't he in the army? Like, he could like almost single-handedly win like the battles that they have because he's such a good shot.
Because the uniforms aren't nearly stylish enough.
No, that's true.
I don't know. All the Grisha's uniforms are pretty stylish.
Except he's not a Grisha.
Well,
is he not?
Is he not? Because there was a moment where somebody was like, wait, Yura, and he knocked him out. And so I'm wondering if there's some weird Grisha thing.
Look, I mean, I love our characters that are skilled and do a skill well, but Jesper and Inej are definitely
there's something
Grishas.
Which, I mean, we've got a white stag. We've got magic in general. There's probably other creatures. There's also several different, I mean, it's mainly Russian lore, but you can see there's different cultures within this fictional culture.
Well, and they have
we could get other creatures, I'm assuming, and other, what do you call them, like metahumans or mythological figures. I'm assuming. I don't know.
And then you're going to just find out in the end that it's all some kid's toy chest, and we're just watching him play out. That's
No.
exactly what it is.
We're all inside a giant space aliens marvel. And
There
they
you go.
have no
There you
idea
go.
there's a universe in here. That's a callback to the VHS gems. You know what
Did
though?
you guys do Men in Black?
Black?
No, we
Wait,
referenced that.
No,
Oh.
we referenced, yeah.
I was like, wait, why wasn't I informed?
Yeah, we referenced it. The
Technically, I was still in VHS gem territory though. It was before in 2006. So, anywho, completely lost my train of thought. I was gonna go somewhere with that.
With the marble?
Something
Okay.
to with
I got-
Jesper. No, what was it?
Okay, I got somewhere to go. Oh, he's got it.
Go, John.
Yes, I came back to me. So one other thing that I really liked about the finale that I wasn't expecting, and I thought was dumb, but I liked how it looked. I liked how Kerrigan devised a way to keep them connected, and he put that bone collar on her,
Mm-hmm.
and it fused into her body. That was kind of metal.
That thing did look cool. I was like, ooh, but cool. Like,
I am
was like-
also, however, glad that it went completely in by the end, because my entire thought that episode is, wouldn't you just keep stabbing yourself in the neck? Like every time I turned my head, I would like jab
So, like,
myself on one of those.
now I can wear 3 necklaces.
Different priorities.
Accessorize.
Just chains everywhere.
Hey, life gives you antlers. Get more necklaces.
There you go. Or were
Put
you
that on
gonna
her shirt.
go, Jessica?
I like how Inej went from being completely not okay with killing people to being like, oh, you're going to kill everybody, then I'm just going to go ahead and just let you die here. I was going to keep you alive, but okay.
Oh, I mean,
Self-preservation.
yeah.
I honestly liked that. I was like, yes, that's the right decision. I mean, she didn't kill people, but like still, that lady was going to do that and she crays. So just go ahead.
I always love that too. Is you killed my brother, so I'm gonna kill you. But it's like, I killed your brother because he was about to kill me. Like, so I don't understand why you're angry.
Because
I mean, I guess I understand why
I
you're
mean, I
angry,
understand.
but
I was gonna say, because most people trained as soldiers don't actually contemplate the reality of soldiers. That's why everybody loves Captain America's line in Ultron about them, when he's talking to Maria Hill about them still fighting a war and they're just soldiers, like they're not crazy.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what I did. Most people can't think that way.
I don't know why this has gotten a second season now.
I got it.
Because we are binge watching so much.
That is the Netflix model. And I won't say that like Jupiter's Legacy was better than this, but it didn't get a second season. I'm guessing because the budget of $200 million for the whole season, as opposed to this, I can't imagine was that much because
No.
there's absolutely no names in it. But I don't know. The story just didn't do anything for me.
YA.
I was saying,
Is that
no,
what it
no
is?
It
offense.
is what it is. Yeah.
It was not geared towards you.
Yeah.
But I like other stuff that we've watched that's like that.
You've always been.
Like Baker and Queen.
I mean, that's not YA.
Carnival Row.
I enjoyed Carnival Row for the most part.
You were pretty
Go back and
lukewarm.
listen to it. I guess.
Okay, that's fair. And I didn't like Cursed either.
Cursed. No, Cursed is probably the closest. I like this more than I liked Cursed.
Yes.
Yeah?
I will say that.
Yes.
It had
Okay.
fewer plot holes.
You get significant fewer
I think I enjoyed Cursed more, but that's just because it had the name recognition. Like it had characters that I already
New.
Merlin was pretty
Knew
good
of.
in Cursed. I will say that was
Yeah.
a good version of Merlin.
Yeah.
I actually
Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. Oh, that's completely not even related to this podcast, but related to Merlin.
okay.
In our last VHS gems, we were talking about Sam Neill and how he hasn't really been in a whole lot that he's known for other than Jurassic Park, really.
Yeah.
He was in a Merlin made-for-TV movie.
That's right.
With Juliana Margulies as...
Maid Marian.
yes. Wait, Marion? Well, I guess technically yes.
Or wait, is that
Wait.
Robin Hood?
Yeah, Robin Hood is Maid Marian.
Guinevere.
Guinevere, yeah.
Okay, Guinevere is what I was thinking then.
Can,
Yes.
can we stop referencing the In the Mouth of Madness?
We avoided it so much, I just kept forgetting the things I wanted to talk about. Tangent over.
What were you about to say, Jessica?
I will admit I actually did really like this for a YA retelling
That's
show. I was like, this actually is exactly what it should be. It's predictable, but it's exactly what it should be. And the acting in it I actually thought was pretty good. I
Yeah.
mean, Alina drove me nuts, but it wasn't the actress's fault. It was the fact that Alina drove me nuts. But
Yeah. Yes, the characters were not spectacular, but the acting
But
the acting wasn't bad enough for me to notice.
and I think my biggest thing was that the dialogue is so clunky. Everything is always explaining stuff and then not explaining things.
that's like the big thing about turning a book into a show, and like especially now because like book people want line for line in the book, but actual people who like both books and films like myself know you can't do line for line in a book and make a film successful.
Right.
Like you've got to take out all that exposition. You need it in a book because it's on your mind
Right.
to think it up. So you need a lot of exposition to be able to see it, but you don't need to. When you can see it, you don't need the exposition.
You can cut out some
when you can
dialogue.
see it, when you can see facial expressions, you don't need to hear the facial expression.
I don't need a character to be
I
like,
don't
you
need
look
the
sad.
thought. You don't need the, oh, I was feeling depressed today. I didn't get a letter from Mal again. And just like, you don't need it because you could see it. She's checking the mail. Like, you don't,
Yep.
just like, they're just trying to please the bookie people. They're like, must be word for word. Like, no, nobody wants that. Sci-fi did that with Dune, and nobody liked it.
Nobody watched Children of Dune and Dune. What were the other talismans other than the stag? Because we've seen a graph of them or a picture of them, right?
Yes. But the stag was at the center, so I almost thought the stag made the others.
Oh, I thought it was the stag was one of the ones on the side, and the bonesmith was in the center.
Yeah, the Bonesmith was.
Bonesmith was in the center.
So, do you think those are things that we're going to be running into in season 2?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because
So
she's got to gain more power.
Yeah.
So that she can take out the fold.
And Kerrigan, since he's apparently not dead.
Well, but she doesn't know that.
Yeah, but she's going to figure that out eventually.
I mean, obviously, his power is amplified, even though he's lost part of the antler. He's able to bring the fold with him places.
But he is operating on out of a different set of books, essentially. Because remember, Bagra was talking about when we got that whole backstory, most of the Grisha are taught little science, and he was doing big science, which is going to start eating his life energy, whatever that means.
Well, obviously, they have exponential amount of life energy. That's why they get to live forever. Which was that explained better in the show at any point? Like,
No.
why is it they have longevity?
That is a complete mystery as to why Bagra and Kerrigan get to live forever.
And apparently Alina, too, that Kerrigan was saying.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's not a thing for all Grisha, just the
No.
dark summoners and the sun summoners?
I assume it's because they're descendant of gods, and then the other ones are descendants of, I don't know.
Of them?
That's how I would write it. I don't know. Of them, in a way.
I assume that'll be in season 2
So-
because she'll have to go talk to Bagra to figure out how to actually kill Kerrigan, and so there'll be some special discussion about it.
I pulled up the picture of the book, and it looks like there's a hand that looks like a human skeletal hand, the stag, and then there's a, I don't know, crocodile meets shark something thing. And
those
then,
pesky crocodile sharks?
yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be. That
It's
one
a
up there.
crocoshock.
And then I'm pretty sure the bird is going to be the firebird because it's
Oh,
Russian lore,
yeah.
so it has to be the firebird.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think it's a whale.
Is the bony hand the
It's literally just
the
a skeleton
bones-
hand. It's just,
I mean, yeah, that could be.
unless it's like another Grisha can be an amplifier. I don't know.
Well, I would think the bonesmith would have been an amplifier.
Yeah.
So
Probably the skeleton. That's what the skeleton hand's for. I think that's a whale
So another
with bone teeth.
another thing that
What?
pissed me off
I can see that.
was when the heart renderer that was working for General Kerrigan was keeping Mal from reaching out. when he like just kept him pinned down to the ground over and over. Like, I just really felt like that was a moment that if Mal and Alina would have touched hands, like something would have happened there, just like they did the first time they were in the fold. And it didn't happen. So
There's still going to be 2 more seasons.
that's right. At the end of the second season, we're going to find out that Mal is also a Grisha, and his special power is something. His power has to be to heal and live, because he's been killed many a time in the show.
I think his gift is to track amplifiers.
I mean, that's a possibility. Wouldn't that
Well, because I think he's got something that's a twist on, was it the fabricator who could recognize her ring metal from out of all of the other, like, if you get me within a mile?
Urast or Burast or something. It was a weird word.
It wasn't the guy that put the antlers into her
I thought it was the same guy, wasn't it?
Was that the same guy?
Yeah, it was the same guy.
So that's the guy that made the gloves for her.
Yes. So it is the fabricator.
Yeah, the fabricator.
Oh, they called
So because the fabricator can sense metals or particular types of materials. And so I would imagine that Mal's is a twist on that, but for amplifiers or living things, which is why he's such a good tracker and hunter.
Okay. What was the name of the tailor lady? Sarah? Because he
Samantha?
Because he even said, does she still wear the ring that the tailor gave her? Whatever.
I can't remember.
Her story in this first season just comes to an end so abruptly. Like, she was a big part of...
Where did she go?
Yeah, well, she shows up and Alina's like, you knew that he was a bad guy. You helped him. You were a spy. And she's like, I told you not to trust evil men.
I told you.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't see her anymore. That's the end of her story in this first season.
Yeah. I mean, she does kind of sort of sit back like, okay, look, I tried to fight off, like, I was raped, basically, by the king multiple times. What do you want me to do? And Elena goes, fair.
Fair, but be a better person.
I mean, just, like, from now on, maybe? Could you? Like, because I like you. You're cool. But
I mean, do we see her later on, do you think? Does anybody think? Do we get to see more of that story?
I'm sure. She's got to have a redemption arc.
I don't think she needs a redemption arc. I
No,
mean,
but
I get it, but
a
she
little
needs
one.
No, I am a good person, like, kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I don't think she needs it because I don't think anybody really knew exactly what Kerrigan was going for.
That's fair. She knew that she wasn't that her letters weren't getting out, though.
Jenya.
I was way off.
Ooh.
What was it I was going to bring up was that well, at the end, when our party is supposedly going their own separate way, like, they have this whole speech at their campfire of like, well, now you don't know us and you won't tell anybody where we're going. And then they all end up on the same boat. Like, that was ridiculous. Right?
Yes, but I think it was the only boat out.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of boats in
And
the
they're not
harbor.
sitting together. They're definitely like, it's like that awkward where you say goodbye and you find out your cars are in the same area. I guess we're going to walk together to our cars and not talk to each other the entire time because we already said a very long goodbye.
Yeah. But we had to set up for the fact that, like, Nina, is that the heart renderer?
Yes, I think.
Sure.
Nina is gonna have to hook up with the crows because they need a new heart renderer.
And she needs a way to get her boyfriend
out.
that now hates her.
That was the other one where I was like, the lack of logic drove me crazy. I was like, come on, you've now spent all this time. You know, she didn't put you to sleep when she went to sleep. And if you're waking up in a prison cell, you have to assume she was given poor options.
But, like, she knew. She went down and heard that conversation and knew there was a way out. She knew the Grisha were coming after her. Like, she could have been like, hey, by the way, before going down. Because she just said, oh, all is clear. But she waited till that guy finished his story about he's taken slavers thing. So she knew she already had her escape plan. When she said, it's okay, let's go eat the pork infused waffles, which sound really delicious because I like sweet and savory.
And I thought she was just listening to the story to try and determine if they were a particular threat to them.
See, I felt like it was a way out because I feel like she had to know that Grisha would be after her now that she was back in the city.
They both knew that they were both being hunted.
Yeah.
Him more so than her, because they're in her country. But they were both making plans to try and get out.
I don't know. I feel like she could have communicated more. Like, hey, by the way, if I do some weird shit, it's because I love you.
But they did have the whole conversation just before that about the fact that, like, if the Grisha caught up with her, like, she'd be labeled a traitor.
Yeah, that's fair. And he's a traitor. We'll be traitors together. It'll be great. No, I hate you now. I'm innocent.
But I mean, I also feel like she has an easy get him out of jail like power. Like if she just uses her power, everybody goes to sleep and okay, I let you out now. Let's go.
Well, I imagine that was her plan, but the problem was he needed to stay in there till they got far enough away that the Grisha couldn't come after him. Because currently the only thing protecting him from the Grisha
are these guys with a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Germans. Okay. Anything anybody's expecting from the second season?
There's a lot of arguing. Second books are always filled with arguing.
Yeah.
Gotta have more conflict so that they can come together again.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the most annoying thing about young adult trilogies. Stop doing it, please.
What are the examples in other books that have been made into movies or TV shows where that's happened?
Okay, I can't.
I mean, it wasn't a book into a movie, but Pirates of the Caribbean.
Like Pirates of the Caribbean does do that.
I feel like most trilogies do that. Lord of the Rings did that. Not a young adult, but again.
See, now I'm like blanking on everything.
But it's
because I can
similar.
mainly just think of the books.
I mean, that's what happened in that Maze Runner, right? Like they all kind of went their separate ways in that second movie.
I did not watch Maze Runner, but
I think so. I didn't watch the second one of Divergent because I thought that movie was awful.
I think that
I would say it does it in the books. I don't know about the movie.
Oh, the book. So the books it does do it.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, John. Any last thoughts on Shadow and Bone season 1?
It was just entertaining enough that I didn't hate the watching experience. I, however, really don't care if they make a season 2 or if they cancel it at this point, because I don't feel like I'll miss anything.
They didn't cancel it. They definitely are going forward with the season 2.
Yeah, it said that when I finished. So.
Okay, then let's start talking about Loki.
Yes, please.
If everybody has something to say, like what gave you the happy reaction there?
The whole thing, honestly. This is like my favorite. Everything I love about Marvel writing is in this.
Nice.
It's so great. The Miss Minutes character, that whole scene, it was like being in Disney in a pre-show in the line. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And that Miss Minute character, it's great. They already have a tote bag for sale for $20 on Shop
sure
Disney.
they do.
And I'm contemplating it. Like, I don't need another tote bag, but Miss Minutes.
Yeah, this felt like Tomorrowland, and I loved every single detail in the TVA, how it's so retro-futuristic and has that 1960s aesthetic. Those rounded monitors that they use are so specific. And like the choice of colors, there's like a lot of oranges in this thing, which again, yeah, it's very like space race, like 1960s, and I just am all for that.
Yeah.
And that's not even getting into like the actual details of the plot and
the
impressive character development that they gave Loki in just one episode.
I was so glad for that. That was the best decision ever, because that was my thing, was like, it's the Loki that doesn't know that he's reaches a potential kind of thing, and you know becomes the Loki that manages to not kill himself, sacrifice himself. There we go. And then to have him, I laughed and I cried. It was just great. It was freaking everything. I
enjoyed it quite a bit, but I am very confused confused.
Okay. Let's see if any of the brain trust here can help you figure it out.
First and foremost, when they reset, when they do a reset with one of those bomb things, do they kill everybody that's there? Do they erase them? Because it's technically a variant. So they all die.
It looks like they wipe out that entire branch of the timeline, yes, based on what they were showing earlier. And the fact that the mysterious killer that we don't find out about till the end is taking those from the time variance authority that go out on those expeditions means that, like those things are destructive.
Yeah. Okay. Because that was my thought. Because then they also said that, this Loki, the protagonist Loki, which I think we're going to need like multiple titles for various characters. But protagonist Loki was supposed to be reset. And they said that he was going to die. So that's why I was curious. But that seems like a lot of death that isn't supposed to happen. How does that
it's a branch. So remember how it showed there were a bunch of different dimensions?
Yes.
And then they made it all just one?
Yes.
So a branch is when somebody makes a choice that they shouldn't have made within dimension theory.
But when you trim that branch,
the flat line is still there. They literally just merge off of it, and the original Loki is still there in the main line.
So if
Loki jumped a dimension,
you got to get existential.
Yes, you have to.
This particular Loki that they're talking to will be erased and killed. But the original Loki will still be
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
this is
why
how they're coping with the fact that this is how they make Endgame make sense.
Yes.
And how Loki stays in the timeline. Okay.
That's right. That's why when he gets to the end, when he watches himself die in the screen, he says, I have nowhere to go because he's not supposed to exist.
Yeah. But so here's my other problem. So you trim that. Where do you trim it to? Because here's the thing. If they trim it to Loki not getting the Tesseract, that means none of Endgame can occur.
So in my understanding, it would be at the moment when he steps into that portal.
Yeah.
They would cut right there.
Okay.
So everything in Endgame still happens as it's supposed to, as the timekeepers want it to happen. But he doesn't get to go off.
Got it.
So it's literally right there.
So the Tesseract falls open onto the floor at his feet.
He grabs it,
and then
backs into the portal and then dies.
Yeah.
But so then in the main timeline, Loki's standing there with the Tesseract and nothing happens?
That actually is a great plot hole, and I think that's going to be later on, because I am so convinced that Loki was supposed to go through, but I feel like there's a Time Lord or whatever. Time Lord, what are they? Timekeeper. There we go. I was getting a lot of Doctor Who. I feel like there's like one timekeeper that's like, no, we're going to do this, but we're not going to tell anybody about it except for maybe Owen Wilson, or maybe they just knew Owen Wilson character. What's his name? Morbius.
Mobius.
How do you forget Mobius?
Knew Mobius was going to do that.
He's going to need Loki in order to catch this. I feel like it's still going to be, oh no, everything was still supposed to happen how it happened. We just needed to pretend that it didn't need to happen so we could have you have that existential crisis that you did have, and then go through everything that you did so that you would help us. Yeah. That's what I'm assuming. So that would be how I'd fill it.
So then here's my next issue, and this is going to be for John and Mitch, I think more. You might have an answer for it, Jessica. I don't want to, but I think they're going to have more of an answer. Mm-hmm. Infinity Stones were supposed to be the ultimate power, and now we've discovered there's a power above the ultimate power. What point does it stop?
Oh, comic books, it doesn't.
Never stops.
You always have to have a bigger fish.
I call it the Dragon Ball theory of why I hate these kinds of things. Yeah. Because you just always have to train harder and fight the stronger enemy, and the stakes always keep increasing.
Well, but it's not even like bigger, badder enemy. It's like completely change the rules. Like now the rules aren't the rules anymore.
This is true. So this is the one thing, or I loved the episode too, but the one thing I loved the most is that Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige, most likely Kevin Feige, came in and basically told all the fans that, hey, we're past the Infinity Stones. They don't matter anymore. And this is how I can show you that.
They're paperweights.
There's a whole bunch of them here. They don't do anything. Like the ones that you saw in the universe that we've already played, those are going to play out the way they did and then get destroyed. You can't get extra ones because those come from another timeline, another dimension, and they have no power in your timeline anymore. So they just sit here. They're now powerless.
That's the answer.
And just forget about them. Like they're paperweights.
It felt so, to me, it felt so unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's probably because I am not a huge comic book fan.
That's fair. But
I was like, why do we even care?
Because
like,
even if it wasn't comic book fans, it's going to be a fan somewhere and be like, or not even a fan, it'd just be a person that's watching the movies and be like, well, why don't they just go grab the other Infinity Stone and take care of the problem? Like that would be that's the one thing that happens in all these movies already. It's like, well, what happens in the Iron Man movie? Why doesn't the Hulk just come and help him? He knows the Hulk. And it's like, because it's his movie. Like that, we don't need that question anymore.
Got it.
Just keep it separate, and then they'll come together in an Avenger movie.
Although, like, Doctor Strange should have probably helped Wanda out a little bit, though. Like, that one does make sense. Like, that one was a pretty big anomaly, Doctor Strange.
Well, like,
No, I get it.
I take that into account as that one happens in the span of a week, and maybe he just hadn't gotten there yet. It's like,
She'll go through her grief. It's fine. I gotta deal with this. It's a mess.
He saw all the futures and was like, who's there?
I mean, we haven't gotten to the Doctor Strange movie yet. After Endgame, like after the big fight in Endgame, he might have got sucked into another dimension. Like that's his whole show is about that, or his whole movie's about that.
Okay.
So.
And then finally, and I know this is the big reveal at the end of the episode, Loki is the bad guy. So clearly they failed to trim a branch because he still exists as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And they failed to trim a branch of him as our good guy.
Yep.
What's happening with those branches?
So, one, as a show, you notice that they did not show us the face of the person that was in that cloak. We were only told that it's Loki. Mm-hmm. So there's already a flaw in Mobius's story.
I feel like it's another Loki.
It's
another dimension Loki. It's not from the main branch, is what I'm assuming.
That could definitely be it.
Yeah.
But I thought the whole point of this was that all the dimensions have been merged into one main timeline.
According to the timekeepers.
Not the dimensions, the timelines. So you gotta. We're also dealing with separate things here. It might be multiple timelines. It might be multiverse. Like those are completely different things.
It's a music scale with notes, but then also scale.
Oh, that's rude.
Good way to put it.
It is a good way. That makes a heck of a lot more. No offense, but that makes a lot more sense to me. Okay,
that's fine. However, you might also be seeing this one particular protagonist, Loki, further down the line because it's time travel.
That too.
So, bad guy Loki in this show could be the Loki from when he had just found out, because we get that break in time between the first Thor and the first Avengers movie where we have no idea what Loki's doing.
I mean, yes, that's a possibility. But what I was trying to get at is that this particular Loki that has now had this revelation of I don't want to be the villain goes further down in his own timeline, but then splits again, and an evil version of him is like, no, I do want to be the villain, and then goes backwards in time and starts killing TVA agents.
Got it.
Which is why he would know how all the technology works and stuff.
Makes sense.
Which means Mobius could have just signed his own
death warrant. Yeah, I mean that's typically how that works, just in general, without all the time hopping.
Yeah. So there is a lot of possibility here. I think the fact that they didn't show us the face of the person means it could be someone else playing Loki. It could be the female version of Loki. It could be.
There was a hint about that in two different parts in the show that I picked up on. So I know you've seen it, Mitch, but in the TV show Sliders,
yes,
which is all about hopping into alternate dimensions,
correct,
and running into other versions of yourself. In some cases, evil versions of yourself. There was one episode where Colin, what's his name?
Mallory?
The main. Is that his name, Mallory?
Oh, it's Quinn.
Quinn,
Mallory.
yes. There's one episode where Quinn goes into another dimension, and they take like some kind of oral spectrograph of the people when they arrive.
Uh-huh.
And so they basically got like an imprint of their like soul. And something like that happened in this episode where they said, do you have what most people would consider a soul, and are you or not all or part machine or something like that?
Uh-huh.
And it looked like they took a Polaroid of him, and it's like an outline of his body, and it's kind of orangey.
True.
Yeah.
Well, there was an episode of Sliders where something like this happened. And they're like, hey, like top scientist of this dimension that we're currently working on this portal technology with, we took some spectrograph of those new people that just came in, and one of them is just like you. And it was like they compared their spectrographs side by side, and they were identical,
But they
with
look
the
different.
difference being that the one from that dimension was female.
There you go.
And the other clue that I saw is that on Loki's profile when they arrested him, under gender, it said fluid. That could have just been a joke.
Well,
It's
no,
not.
Loki in the comics and in the lore is gender fluid. So
He
I mean, he-
can jump between he and she.
Yes.
Although that first clue,
And he's
you have
given
to have
birth
a lot
before,
of
too.
other knowledge.
Yeah. What was that?
Well,
I said that first clue, you have to have knowledge of an entirely
of a
different show.
Yeah.
Seems unfair.
But yeah, I think that that's hinting at something like that. That we're going to be seeing like a completely different, but also the same Loki.
Or
Yeah.
it could be a red herring.
Or it could be a completely red hair. It could be, well, so in Marvel Comics, a big character that we know is going to be showing up in Phase 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp's Quantumania, Kang the Conqueror, who is a time traveler and has multiple versions of himself that fight against each other.
right, that guy.
So this is very much following in that kind of story where Loki might have to fight an older version of himself that wants to go backwards, or it could be King the Conqueror himself, like that we will eventually see. So it's confusing now, but we'll see what actually plays out.
Yeah,
Well, this is getting into
as-
some very
as-
Rick
as-
and Morty territory.
I say,
Yeah.
as most of our audience knows, I'm always confused at the beginning of just about any show. I'm always like, I have lots of questions. None of this makes sense.
Speaking of the part that John brought up, though, I do want to say that was one of the funniest parts.
great.
Of the
Wait, what if I am a robot?
the fact that not only was Loki questioning, like, do people not know that they're robots, like, kind of thing, and then wait, am I a robot? Like, am I not human? The whole questioning of it just really threw me through a loop. Like, he is a god in all aspects, and yet doesn't know for sure that he's not a robot inside.
That and the gutting him like a fish
Yes.
conversation.
The Casey character was pretty great.
What's a fish?
Like, if I'm going to be threatened, I'd like to know the details.
So let's go further with that thought. Are these people just bred to work at the TVA?
That's the impression I was left with.
Yeah? Or are they robots? Is that a thing that keeps them from leaving more than it is from keeping robots from coming in?
Maybe.
I mean, the one hunter lady was, really good at kicking ass. So, I mean, not that she just can't be good at kicking ass, but being a robot might help fight a god.
She did think very logic based though, and very straightforward. Couldn't really figure out.
Yeah, but some people are just that way.
Just the whole stop, please. Just the oh god, that was a great scene. Just
Can we also talk about the elevator scene where they change out his clothing?
Burn off his clothing.
burn off
I guess.
like he didn't want him to take it off, so they just zap it.
I also really appreciate. So I didn't watch any of the Loki trailers, but IKEA, because it's been popping up on my Pinterest, has been showing a ad with robots in it recently. And so we're watching the episode, and all of a sudden the robot in the elevator shows up, and I'm like, oh, that's where the robot's from. I could not figure out why they had this in the IKEA ad. It made no sense to me.
Apparently, Marvel is just advertising at IKEA now. They've teamed up.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we're getting a special Loki charms
That's right.
out of this.
Lucky Charms is now going to be Loki Charms for a little bit.
I'm probably gonna buy a box. Not gonna lie. Any excuse to have Lucky
This is the
Charms.
most genius thing that's come out of all of this, and I wonder why they haven't done it already with the other shows.
Well, I mean, what are
Wanda O's.
The oath.
Come on, there's got to be something better than Wanda O's. Like it'd have to be like Honeycrisp, because those aren't, or is it Honeycrisp? What's the thing that's in the shape of a
honeycomb ones,
hexagon?
I think they're
Honeycomb, yeah. right?
Honeycombs.
Honeycombs.
Yeah.
So Wanda Combs,
Honeycombs.
Maybe.
I can see it.
Honey
like-
Vision.
Falcon and the Winter Cornflakes.
That's good. That's good.
Disney, we have a marketing plan for you.
I mean, just team
Let us
up
pitch it to you.
with General Mills. Is that who makes? Or
Well, I mean,
is it Kellogg's?
it's one of the two.
I think it's General Mills.
There you go. Just
I don't have any in this. I have like Raisin Bran and Post here, but I don't have any.
Post is the other
charms.
one.
Okay.
So there you go. You get cereal and Disney or Marvel characters goes together, I guess.
I feel like that's gonna be another like Muppet Avengers. We need to now come up with like Marvel cereals.
It's gonna happen now. It's been mentioned on another podcast.
Yep, it's gonna
Manifest
happen.
it.
It's just gonna happen. On Journey into Mystery this week, we had a whole discussion about if the Muppets were the Avengers, who would they be?
All right. Okay.
I'm already planning it in my head. I'm gonna start writing it down.
You go for it. Go team, go. Fully support you.
I wanted to speak about the fact that, because you brought it up a second ago, that Tom Hiddleston gets a shirtless scene. Like, I feel like in 3 Thor movies and an Avenger movie, he didn't get one, and he was very upset about this.
Yep.
I'm not
There
sure
is a
he was
deleted scene.
necessarily
He
upset
was
about it.
Now,
There was definitely
this is a little
upset
bit
people.
of trivia.
What?
So Tom Hiddleston apparently auditioned for the role of Thor.
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Clearly didn't have the bulk for it, but they liked him, so they cast him as Loki eventually. But you can find that scene out there. It's on YouTube. It's on the original Thor DVD, I think, of Tom Hiddleston auditioning for Thor.
I assume with his
And
blonde hair.
He's got long blonde hair, and he looks basically just like this. But if you're a really big fan of that, I guess it gives you a little bit more.
And honestly, I can't think of I've ever seen a movie where he's shirtless. So I was not expecting him to be as trim as he was, or as
Isn't that in Kong Skull Island? Did he not?
I don't think he
I
ever
don't
takes
think
the
he
actual
did.
shirt off.
No.
You see
But
his
that shirt
arm.
was divinely tight.
I wonder if he in the one where he plays the country music singer, if he goes shirtless or not.
I don't think so.
Is it Waylon Jennings?
I would
Is that
imagine Waylon Jennings. I would imagine wait, what? No, was it?
They also had to have given him a bit of a heads up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure there might have even been a little bit of CG work in there, but I'm not disparaging him any.
Lies.
One,
They used the bodysuit from UHF.
I also like the part where he's in the desert. That was like even like I didn't notice it in when we watched the 2 seasons of Mandalorian, but I'm sure they used that big green screen room thing with the monitors or whatever to film
Probably.
that part. It was very noticeable on that than it was in any of the Mandalorian for me. Like it looked very fake.
Yeah, the lighting was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't initially notice.
No?
Which I usually do.
I
but-
never noticed those
Okay.
things. Don't look to me for anything on
Also, did anybody else, from the people who watched the trailer, did anybody else expect the DB Cooper thing to be more
Yeah.
involved?
Honestly, that was enough for me because DB Cooper is such a weird thing that happened in history that to be like, it was Loki the whole time, to me, it's just like,
Sure.
it was.
Of course.
Yes, it was. Like,
Like,
this is what
all we
happened.
got though
All
that is
because
he lost a bet to Thor. Like,
yeah.
what was the
I know.
bet? Like, what were you supposed to do?
Also, what
no,
other
that
things
was-
have occurred because you lost a bet to Thor?
But also not
So
what was the
many
bet, but
things.
what was the consequence? Like, was it specific enough of you have to rob everybody on this plane and then jump out? Like, was the punishment, or was it more of a get $200,000 in some creative way. Like, I really want to know all of the aspects of this.
I mean, it just makes it seem in the movies that Thor had no real
Sense of humor?
involvement with humanity, even though he was worshipped up until, like, I mean, I guess maybe I could be wrong. He could have been on Earth, and that's how those humans, those early Scandinavians, could have like seen him and be like, "Oh wow, you're our god."
Because he lost a bet to Loki.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I feel like it was explained in one of the Thors when Odin is mad at Thor that he says like you're just running around all the planets,
All the realms.
Yeah, and Earth is one of the Midgard. Right? Midgard is
yeah.
Earth. So I just assume Thor and Loki just ran around doing bets and apparently one time stealing a bunch of cash that
Being
didn't get to
teenage boys.
keep.
They did. I'm pretty sure that in Thor Ragnarok, where Thor is like, you know, when we were young, we were friends, and it wasn't until we got older that you just, you know, our relationship splintered. And I'm happy that we even saw it in this where they replay that.
It wasn't even that.
Yeah.
It was when Loki found out that he was a frost giant and his dad wasn't really his dad and he wasn't there to the throne. Kind of sort of throws you for a loop.
True.
Oh, I'm evil, so now I must pretend to be evil.
So yeah, I guess we can get to that part, like the psychoanalyzing that Mobius does on him to get him to break through. Like, the fact that he keeps asking, like, did you want to hurt people? And he just can't really answer. He's just like, well, I'm supposed to be the ruler. I'm supposed to rule everything. And then eventually he's like, no, of course I don't want to hurt anybody. But that's the role that I've been painted into. So I have to be the villain.
It's actually a really good, and I can't remember what it's an example of, but basically anytime Loki criticizes another person, it's him criticizing himself. And you saw it so much in this, and it's such a wonderful thing because it's things that people actually do when they have these sort of issues.
There's a lot of projecting.
Yeah, projecting. Thank you. So, I mean, it was a wonderful mental health showcase of like, yes, I know myself because I put it on everybody else I see.
Him having to come to the realization that he is either directly or indirectly the reason why his mother was killed, or his adopted mother was killed.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's wonderful. Relive for his death. Thank you.
He gets to see that him and his brother make up. However, right after that scene is when Thor like shocks him and incapacitates him, but we didn't go that far. And then he gets to see that he actually sacrifices himself to try and
That he is good.
he tries to help his brother.
Yeah, except I don't think he saw that as, oh, this is my redemption. I'm sacrificing myself. My opinion of how he saw that in that moment was, oh, so I don't actually accomplish anything. There is no greater purpose for me.
Not only that, but he was the glorious purpose that was burned into him was by Thanos, and he just saw that his boss basically killed him.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
It was Thanos that did
Thanos
that.
is the one that gave him the scepter in the first place.
Yep.
Which is still, we don't want to talk about that because that was dumb if Thanos wants to catch all the Infinity Stones and he gives one away.
Well, maybe he figured like this is like an investment. Like
Sure.
I trust you enough to get me more with this. It's like a little bit of collateral.
Well, diminishing returns, I guess.
Were they sure they were going to have like a phase 3 when
No.
Avengers came out? So this probably was like, if we don't get enough with Avengers,
Yep.
we don't need
Now-
to do the Thanos line or continue it kind of thing. Okay, so it kind of makes sense in that sense.
How existentially devastating, though, would it be? Because I definitely put myself in that position where he sees himself not just die, but then the film ends. Like, that's the end of the file. Like, that's all there is. I was like, man. Like,
That does kind
talk
of
about
suck.
finality.
I was going to say, that's why usually they don't recommend you, in time travel shows like watching yourself die or
Yep.
seeing where you're buried or
Yep.
any have said other things.
How would you like to have to sign a paper of everything you've ever said?
Also,
I'd have taken a lot longer to read through that.
yeah,
I know.
what-
I literally
feel
was
like
I said that.
He's several thousand years old at this point. That should be a much bigger pile.
Also true.
I don't think that every one of those pages was just one word. It just happened to be that every time he said something now, they had to reprint a new page.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm
I get
guessing
that too.
that's-
I still think that would mean that'd be a hell of a lot more pages than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if you consider it double-sided and 10-point font, like completely full, you would expect more. But
I
yeah.
don't know. I remember in high school when
Although-
people got little crib cards, like they wrote a lot of stuff on there, very tiny.
Although, to be fair, John, remember, it's just what he said, so you're only getting half the conversation.
But he talks
But
a
he
lot.
likes to
talks.
monologue. He's
Loki likes to talk.
I mean, true.
As
But he
Mobius
does say
pointed
the
out.
same thing over and over again, so maybe they just have repeat times 3.
There
or
you go.
repeat times 4. I mean, because he is kind of a broken record.
I
on
deserve to
certain-
be king speech
Maybe-
again.
reference page 87-B, paragraph A, subsection 24.
Supra footnote.
Maybe that was just like the catalog to the
The index?
the index to the library of everything that he's ever said.
That could be.
Wow.
Now I have more questions about the bureaucratic organization of this.
That's what I wanted to say earlier. So John said he was getting like major retro futuristic vibes from the whole thing. I kept getting vibes of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when they get in line
Oh,
to
yes.
the bureaucracy line to stop the Earth from getting demolished. Like that's what I was getting the whole TVA. Like I hope that's that's something that they were going for.
With a little bit of, I definitely
was-
got some Douglas.
I was a
things in there.
little hurt by the trial scene. I was a little offended.
There's absolutely he doesn't know what crimes he's being accused of, and
Well, and the fact that the judge doesn't clearly know what the laws are. Because he asks some very good pointed questions, and she just says, because that's the way it is. And it's like, no, that's...
well,
listen.
I mean that is the flaw in following 3 lizard people like from space, like building your whole system off of that, right?
See, Loki should have said he does not recognize the authority of the court, and they would have had to recognize his rights as a sovereign citizen and let him off on it with a warning.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that's not as effective as you think it is.
I'm sure they would have just zapped him with that thing like the other guy who didn't want to take a number. Which, what does it matter if you're just going to get zapped there or zapped later? Like, obviously, the court's going to find you guilty. You're a variant. That's it.
That's
End
it.
of story.
Why have all the bureaucracy?
Just the theater of it all, I guess.
Yes.
Now, I almost apparently, some people thought I might have been giving too much by making the comparison with this show and number 5 in the commission from
That's
Umbrella
right.
Academy.
That's correct.
But would that be considered accurate?
I mean, this definitely was something that we knew was coming from the previews, but I mean, still.
Don't talk about it at all.
We didn't have a goldfish, headed
No.
representative.
We
in
did
here.
not have a goldfish shred. Yeah.
But the TVA isn't pulling people from reality dimensions, straight timelines, whatever. They're clearly creating their own.
No. The TVA is making sure that only one timeline exists.
No. What I mean is so in the Umbrella Academy, the commission seems to be made up of actual people who've gotten pulled from their timeline,
okay.
where the TVA's
Yes.
employees are just
Bred there
something.
beings.
or created there because they're
Yeah.
robots.
You think everybody's a robot?
I do. Everybody's a robot.
See, I would imagine that probably a lot of the employees, with the exception of Casey, for sure, because he didn't seem to know what a fish was. But I would imagine that a lot of the employees are taken from deleted timelines who no longer have a place, to go or live.
could
So
that
they
be-
basically just become employees of this organization.
Just like what is happening to Loki right now.
Basically, yeah.
Could that be
And then-
one of the other potential outcomes and one of the reasons you want to go to trial? Because if
I
they
guess
decide you're a
that's a
variant
possibility.
you're a variant but not of your own fault, they might just assign you to a new job.
That's a possibility. That
fine.
might be
It's
why.
like you could be useful to us, so we're gonna put you to work.
And then maybe Casey was just the child of two variants that came out of two different timelines, and that's why he doesn't know what fish is, because he's lived here his whole life.
Or maybe it was a timeline without fish.
Or it's a timeline without fish.
Yeah.
He definitely had one of my favorite lines in the show, though. When the lady cop drops off the Tesseract with him, he says, "What is this?" And she says, "File it under, for evidence." And Loki says, "Be very careful with that. That's the Tesseract." And Casey shouts back, off camera, "That sounds dumb." I was like, he's just getting no respect here, and that's awesome.
The actor's hilarious, too.
Yes, he's in the Good Place.
Yeah.
He's great in that.
Yeah, he's also in Tacoma FD. I love him in Tacoma.
The gum that the little boy had that was given to him by the devil, so to speak.
Mephisto confirmed.
Yeah. It has a little devil character on there also. Some people are saying that it's a depiction of Nightmare, which is the son of Mephisto. So
they did mention a Nightmare department.
And there is a Nightmare department too.
Okay, comic book world, would that not be hilarious that we thought Mephisto was going to be in Wanda, and then it's nope, it's Loki.
I mean, that's the ongoing joke now that because it was happening in all of Falcon and Winter Soldier too. People just kept getting online being like, Mephisto's going to show up. It's no.
Mephisto's the power broker.
Mephisto's the power broker. And that's just what's going to be until Mephisto finally shows up, and hopefully Ken Feige just kills him in the
same
first scene.
episode.
It'll be like the Howard the Duck scene, just at the end of one of the next Avengers.
Yeah. So this is only 6 episodes long, if I remember correctly. Anything anybody wants to see in particular?
Kang the Conqueror.
Kang the Conqueror.
I don't know, more of the cosmic things. Timekeepers, the Watchers was what I remember from Silver Surfer. I mean, they even had a representation of space and time, too. I think it's kind of cool to expand it to be this is life. I don't know. More dimensions, too.
I mean, Marvel even has... What's the personifications of kismet and entropy and all those things? So
and death is one there.
And death, yeah.
Yeah, death.
What do you want to see?
I have no idea. I still have so many questions I want answered. I don't understand the bureaucracy, and I need to understand it.
I mean, that seems very much up your alley.
Yeah.
You should watch Brazil if you've never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen Brazil either, but I'm not a Terry Gilliam fan. You might.
Oh, he's cool.
You like Holy Grail.
I do.
So, Frigga, or is it Freya?
Frigga. That's
Frigga.
mom.
Something tells me that she might come back to life.
I want her to. I love Frigga. She's a great goddess.
A variant of her?
I feel like he might do something to pull her out of the timeline.
Oh, as compensation for helping them get rid of...
Maybe.
And maybe that's how
Or at the very least, he might have an endgame scene like Thor does, where he gets to say goodbye to her.
Oh, that's possible. Or there are robots, and he creates a robot Frigga to get killed by the Dark Elf, and then he pulls the real Frigga out. More
Now,
robots.
does anybody here think...
You and your obsession with robots is a little disconcerting.
Does anybody here believe that possibly Loki might be the monkey wrench in the system that will unleash the multiverse once again, and that's why we have a movie like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming out?
That's a good possibility too.
I mean, if that's going to happen, this would be the place to do it, right?
think
Or
you'd
at least
have-
set it up.
If he's going to kill the 3 lizard people.
You might have to look into what was the original timeline for the release of these things, though. Was Doctor Strange supposed to be after the release of this particular show? Or did that get screwed up like how Black Widow didn't end up coming out before Falcon and Winter Soldier?
No, I think it was still supposed to be next year, wasn't
That's a good
it?
question.
I don't know.
Remember.
Was originally it supposed to come out in 2021?
I think it was. And I think it was supposed to be February 2021.
That is a possibility.
But Loki might have been out November of 2020, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
True
thought
that.
Loki was supposed to come out in 2020.
It could have been. But 2020 was a weird year.
Yes.
We don't speak of 2020.
Yeah, there were so many announcements of everything moving around. I can't remember what the original order was.
Yeah, I can't either.
You know, tangential to all of this, but one of my favorite things that somebody wrote on Facebook or somewhere about 2020 is how every month could be its own verse of "We didn't start the fire."
I'm sure
And somebody actually wrote it, and it was awesome.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Memories.
Okay, so if nobody else does anything else, we'll go ahead and finish it up there. If you have an opinion or theory on one of these two shows, reach out to me. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Jessica, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter as JM Bailey Writes.
John?
And you can find me on Twitter at Magic Bollocks. And if you're a Loki fangirl, yeah.
Hit you up? Is that what that meant? Was that what that yeah was?
They know what I mean.
Okay. Fair.
I really don't think they do.
It's implied.
It reminds me of the Hamlet too. The Jesus got a hot swimmer bod.
Speaking of not Jesus Hot Summer Bod, but Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, is that gonna in the fact that you guys just did In the Mouth of Madness, do you think there's gonna be any crossover there?
Nope.
God, I hope
Not a
not.
single bit. No.
No Lovecraftian
I want
bad?
the page
Oh.
rip scene.
Yeah.
Page rip my way
I've
through
heard-
this dimension.
I've heard a rumor that the main bad guy for it is going to be a Lovecraftian like Marvel character.
I love Cthulhu's. Are there Cthulhu's and
No,
Marvel?
Well, yes, there are some cosmic beings that are like Lovecraftian characters.
okay.
Marvel superheroes. That's the only hint I'm giving.
Oh, think of the fact that it's also Sam Raimi, so you'll get some Evil Dead in there.
Oh yeah, you might get some deadites.
Yeah.
Did you see that in on April Fool's? Bruce Campbell posted supposedly a page of the script.
I did, but
I
that was
was
his
like,
April Fool's.
Oh, you bastard! Why did you put that out in the universe if it's not going to be real? That's so cruel.
April Fool's next
But-
year. It was real.
By that point, we should have seen the movie, I think. Elizabeth, where can people find you online?
You can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media and our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media.
For archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website or on our network, go to our website, geekelitemedia.com. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is the Geeks Watch on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.
Beep.